One of the things that parents are asking a lot is, was it my fault? They feel a lot of guilt, and with good reason. Their adult children have been telling them things. But let's talk about what the purpose of feeling guilt is and what the purpose of feeling that there was a fault. The thing about fault is it means that there was some kind of failure. There's a standard that was missed. So if there's a standard that was missed and someone is hurt as a result of it, what happens then? What do we do? Well, hold on to the end of the video because we're going to talk exactly about that. But let's frame what we understand about what's happened for a lot of adult children. The first thing you need to know is the three main reasons why adult children cut ties are abuse, toxic parenting, and betrayal. So if a parent has been abusive, if they have either physically and or emotionally abused their children, for the adult child and for the parent, the responsibility goes on to the parent. The child never deserved that. If the child, when they were a kid or adolescent, young adult, were abused physically and or emotionally by someone that the parent knew, like a spouse or a good friend, the responsibility was on the parent to protect the child. And in that case, clearly the fault is on the parent. Toxic and bad parenting is consistent behavior on the part of the parent. Okay, so this is problematic for the adult child. And it could include parents were highly demanding. They could have name called, scapegoated. There was a high level of criticism. There could have been a taking advantage of or manipulation on the part of the parent. In some cases, parents expected children, adolescents to be parents. They expected them to take on the role that they should have taken. Is it always the parent's fault when an adult child cuts off? Well, we just saw in the last examples about toxic parenting and betrayal when there's secret keeping, and this impacts the adult child's ability to know things that would have been a good idea for them to know. And if there's abuse, these are clearly failures. This is what a fault is. It's a failure of character. It's something that was done, that could have been, that should have been done much better and much differently. After all, an ideal parent, not a perfect parent, is looking after the best interest of the child. They're not abusive. There isn't any toxic parenting consistently. There might be mess ups at times, but there isn't this constant, consistent level of controlling and demanding and criticism, and the child never feeling good enough and never measuring up. Kylie Agalias, in her book, Family Estrangement, A Matter of Perspective, discusses how people will make a low relational evaluation based on the assumption that members will look after each other's welfare without immediate reward, and the level of emotional intimacy will sustain disagreement and inequity for a much longer period than in non-familial relationships. Now, what does this mean? This means that there's a higher expectation for the behaviors of a parent. When an adult child evaluates their parent based on this measure, if they had their back, their parent would not have behaved in this way. So what do these adult children say? So in essence, the relational evaluation is the adult child looking back at their experience with their parent and saying, did that sum total of experiences, those things, was there this toxicity? Was there abuse? Was there betrayal? Were those things evident in showing me that I was loved and valued? If there's a low relational value, then the result is the adult child feels, hey, they didn't really have my back. They weren't there for me. And I don't feel that connected. This relationship isn't good for me. Individuals will perceive a low relational evaluation based on the four following things. One, were they in danger? Were they not protected? Was their parent approving and supporting of their goals and welfare? Did the adult child have a sense that they were ever being exploited or taken advantage of? And did the adult child feel a level of rejection from the parent? So remember in the beginning of the video, we talked about how there isn't just one thing. There's a bunch of different things. The adult child takes into account what happened. And there's also the idea of what's the adult child's personality? What is their genetics? What did they grow up? What kind of environment did they grow up in outside of their family? What was their intergenerational grandparents? What was happening there? What was their cultural environment? All these things impact how one perceives. So let's talk about some possible contributors to estrangement: divorce, parental alienation, life cycle events, abnormal stressors, mental illness and addiction, differing values and lifestyles, expectations, secret keeping, ineffective communication, punishment, and cultural shifts. Is it always the parents' fault? We said yes, no, maybe. Maybe it is. In certain cases, it looks like there was a failure to keep a standard. An interesting study, a 2015, Giving Voice to the Silence of Family Estrangement, discusses how children tend to view their parents' characteristics. This is what's in their assessment when they estranged. What characteristics did their parents have? And parents tended to view the estrangement as part of things away from their characters. It was because of parental alienation. It was divorce. It had to do with mental illness. It had to do with my kids' differing lifestyles. Estrangement is when one family member cuts ties from another family member. It's a terrible, challenging experience for all parties. Everyone involved in estrangement has an emotional response. It's not easy for them. But who is to blame? Are parents always to blame? In some cases, parents are at fault for harming their children. In some cases, parents are at fault for being imperfect parents. In some cases, parents are at fault for missing the mark with connecting with their child. I hope this video has been a help to you. Please hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and leave me a comment and tell me what you think of what we discussed today. Are parents at fault when children estrange? Get my ebook, Feeling Heartbroken and Alone, How to Pick Up the Pieces When You Are Estranged. See you in the next video.